ಸಂಸಾರದಾವ ನಲಲಿಡಲೋಕ ತ್ರಣಯ ಕಾರುಣ್ಯ ಗಣ ಗಣ ತ್ವಂ प्रप्तस्य कल्याण गुणर्नवस्य वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् महाप्रभो कीर्तन नित्य गीता वादित्रमाद्यान् मनसोरसेना रोमाञ्चकाम्पा श्रुतरङ्गबाजो वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् श्रीविग्रहाराधना नित्यनाना सिंगारतान् मन्दिरमजनादो युक्तस्य भक्तां च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत्प्रसादा स्वादान्ना तृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्गान् कृतैव तृप्तिं भजता सदैव वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा मधुयलीला गुणरूपनाम्ना माधवयोरपारा मधुयलीला गुणरूपनाम्ना प्रतीक्षणा स्वादनलोलुपास्य वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् निकुञ्जयूनो रतिकेलिसिद्ध्यै यायालिभियुक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्र दिदाक्षात् अतिवल्लभास्य वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् साक्षादरिद्वेन्दा समस्तशास्त्रे उक्तास्तथा भाव्यत एव साध्भिः किन्तु प्रबोजा प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादान् न गति कुतोऽपि तत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादान् न गति कुतोऽपि ध्यायन् सुवास्यं तस्य यशस्त्रिसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दं वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपेस्ताय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदान्ता स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरा भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरा भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरा भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Nila Madhava Radha Nila Madhava Radhe. Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Jayo Subhadrama Jayo Sudarshana. Jayo Sitaram Jayo Sitaram Jayo Sitaram Jayo Lakshmana Hanuman. Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha. Jayo Gauranitai Jayo Gauranitai Jayo Gauranitai Jayo Gauranitai. Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada. Jayo Guru Deva Jayo Guru Deva Jayo Guru Deva Jayo Guru Deva. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Daine. Hiranyakashipu Vaksha. Hiranyakashipu Vaksha. Shila Tanka Nakalaye. Tanka Nakalaye. Ito Nishimho Parato Nishimho. Ito Nishimho Parato Nishimho. Yato Yato Yanim Tato Nishimho. Yato Yato Yanim Tato Nishimho. Bahir Nishimho Hridaye Nishimho. Bahir Nishimho Hridaye Nishimho. Nishimhamadim saranam prapade. Nishimhamadim saranam prapade. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Daine. Hiranyakashipu Vaksha. Hiranyakashipu. Shila Tanka Nakalaye. Shila Tanka Nakalaye. Ito Nishimho Parato Nishimho. Ito Nishimho Parato Nishimho. Yato Yato Yanim Tato Nishimho. Yato Yato Yanim Tato Nishimho. Bahir Nishimho Hridaye Nishimho. Bahir Nishimho Hridaye Nishimho. Nishimhamadim saranam prapade. Nishimhamadim saranam prapade. Tavakara kamalavare nahakam adbhuta shringam dalita hiranyakashipu tanubringam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Tavakara kamalavare nakam adbhuta shringam dalita hiranyakashipu tanubringam keshavadita narahari rupa jaya jagadish hare jaya jagadish hare jaya jagadish hare Kara kamalavare nakam adbhuta shringam dalita hiranyakashipu tanubringam keshavadita narahari rupa jaya jagadish hare jaya jagadish hare Jaya Jagarisha Hare Keshavarita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagarisha Hare Jaya Jagarisha Hare Jaya Jagarisha Hare Keshavarita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagarisha Hare Jaya Jagarisha Hare Jaya Jagarisha Hare Jaya Nishingare 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 Jaya Nishinga Jaya Lakshmi 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 Nishinga Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva
Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Iya Bhilashi Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Iya Bhilashi જે તમારા શરણ લો તારા વાંચા પૂર્ણ હોય જે તમારા શરણ લો તારા વાંચા કૃપા કોરી કોરો તારે વૃંદાવન વાસી મોરાયે અભિલાષ વિલાસ કુંજે દિયો વાસ મોરાયે અભિલાષ કુંજે દિયો વાસ નાયને હિરીવો સદા યુગલ રૂપરાસી એ નિવેદન ધરો સખીરાનુગત કરો સેવાધિકાર દિયે કરો નિજ દાસી દીન કૃષ્ણ દાસે કહે નમો રહો શ્રી રાધા ગોવિંદ પ્રેમે સદા યેન બાસી શ્રી રાધા ગોવિંદ પ્રેમે સદા યેન ભાસી નામો નમઃ તુલસી કૃષ્ણ પ્રેયસી નામો નમઃ તુલસી કૃષ્ણ પ્રેયસી यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणं पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणं पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणं पदे पदे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, जय तुलसी महारानी, जय तुलसी महारानी, जय तुलसी महारानी, जय तुलसी महारानी, महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी, जय महारानी, जय तुलसी महारानी, जय वृंदा देवी, जय वृंदा देवी, वृंदा देवी, जय वृंदा देवी, निताय गौरा हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल, जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय गुरुदेव, 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 जय जय गुरुदेव, 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 जय जय गुरुदेव। वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णु भक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यवती नमो नमः। वृंदाय तुलसी देवी प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णु भक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यवती नमो नमः। वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णु भक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः। देवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य मति वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। तुलसी
My desire also grant me residence in the precious groves of Shiva and Davanatam. Thus within my vision I shall always behold the beautiful paths of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me follower Karha Danso's Virgin. Please give me the privilege devotional service and make me own maid servant. This very fallen lowly servant of Krishna praise. May I always swim in the love of Shri Radha and Govinda. Srimati Tulsi Maharani ki jai. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting holy names that should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the name of the demigods, Lord Shiva or Brahma, to be equal to independent name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature of pursuance of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities and strength of chanting holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritual activities, offering in the Veda the fruitive activities, karma, ganda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glory of holy name. 10. To not complete faith in the chanting holy names, and to maintain material attachments in understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us offer most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees, Lord. They are just as I trees who can fulfill to everyone, and they are full compassion, fallen, conditioned souls. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Cheto darpana marjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam. Shriya kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavatu jivanam. Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamita swadanam. Sarvatamasnapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Nam namakali bahuta nija sarva shaktis. Tatra pita niyamita smaranena kalaha etadishi tava kripa bhagavam mamapi durudevami disham ihajanina nurakaha trinatapi sunijena tarorapi saishnuna amanina manadena kirtanya sada harihi na thanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye Mama Jammani Jammanishware Bhavata Bhaktir Haituki Toi Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sthita Duri Satesham Vichintaya Nayanam Galadashuru Daraya Vatanam Kadgada Rudaya Gira Pulaka Nichitam Vapurkada Tava Nama Grahane Bhavishati Yuga itam nimishena chakshusha pravisha itam shunya itam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me ashirishava pahadratam pinnashnumam hatarshanam marmhatam karotuva yatha tatha va vidathatu lampado matprananatha susa eva na paraha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. To the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which is connected to the heart of all the dust accumulated for years, and the extinguished fire of conditional life, a repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. Oh my Lord, your holy name alone grants all benediction to human beings. Thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have vested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, our kindness enables us to easily approach you by holy names, but I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more taller than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor to desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Marananda, I'm your eternal servitor. Yet somehow I fall in the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death, and place me along the Adam to your lotus feet. Oh my Lord, while my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant the holy name, while my voice choke up or hair my body stand and the recitation of your name. Oh Govinda, feeling our separation, I'm causing a moment to be like a great millennium. Tears are flowing from eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and shall remain so if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything, everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Om ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुंमृतं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वती इति नामिने श्रीवर्षपाणिवि देवी दयिताय कृपप्तये कृष्णसम्बन्धविज्ञानदायिने प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वलप्रेमाद्य श्रीरूपनुगभक्तित श्रीगौरकरुणाशक्तिविग्रहाय नमोस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुगविरुदाभसिद्धान्तद्वन्द्वहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विफलम्बरसम्बोधे पादं पूजयते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगवरायते गौराविर्भावभूमिस्त्वं निर्दिष्टा सज्जनप्रियः वैष्णवसवभौम श्रीजगन्नाथाय ते नमः वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमपदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनाम्ने गौरथिषे नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं हे कृष्ण करुणसिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते जयतां सुरथोरभङ्गो मम मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्वपदाम्बोजो राधा मदनमोहनो दिव्यवृन्दारण्यकौपजुमदः श्रीमद्रानागार सिंहासनस्थो श्रीमद्राधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवो पृष्ठारिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमन्रासरसरम्भि वंशीवत ततः स्थितः खर्षं विनुस्नेर्गोपीर्गोपीनाथ श्रीयस्तुनः तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी विषपानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत दातार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री जय ईश्वर परम कृष्ण सच्चिदानंद विग्रह अनादिराद्य गोविंद सर्वकारण कारणम चिंतामणि प्रखर सत्मसु कप्रवीक्ष लक्षावृतेषु सुरभिरभिपालयन्तं लक्ष्मी सहस्रशतसम्भ्रमसेव्यमानं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि वेणुकवनन्तमरविन्दतलायताक्षं पार्हार्वतं समसितां बुधसुन्दरङ्गं कन्तर्पकोटिकमनीयविशेषशोभं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि आलोलचन्तकलसवनमारवंशी रानाङ्गदं फनयकेलिकलाविलासं श्यामं त्रिभङ्गललितं यतप्रकाशं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि अङ्गानि यस्य सकलेन्द्रियवृत्तिमन्ति पश्यन्ति पान्ति कलयन्ति चिरं जगन्ति आनन्दचिन्मयसधुचलविग्रहस्य गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि अद्वैतमचोत्तमनादिमनन्तरूपम् आद्यं पुराणपुरुषं नवयौवनं च वेदेषु दुर्लभम् अदुर्लभम् आत्मभक्तो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि पन्थास्तु कोटिशतवत्सरसम्प्रगाम्यो वायुरथापि मनसो मुनिपङ्गवानं Sopyasti Yapapada Simya Vichinta Tatve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pachami Ekopya Sarda Chaitum Jagatanta Kotim Ya Chakti Rasti Jagatanta Chayaya Tantaha Antantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pachami Yad Bhava Bhavitatiyo Manuchastateva Samprapya Rupa Mahimasanayana Pusha Suktaryam Eva Nikama Patitai Stuvanti Govindamadi Purusha Tamaham Pachami Ananta Chimmay Rasa Pratibhavitapis Tabe Evan Jarupataya Kalabihi Goloka Eva Nivasati Kilatma Bhutto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pachami Premanjana Churutha Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sateva Hidayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundam Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pachami Ramadi Murtishu Kalanya Mena Tishtan Nanavataram Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhava Paramapumam Yo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pachami.
Prime cause of all causes.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire, in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feathers, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Samasundara is eternally manifest.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane.
I worship the Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but attainable by pure, unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha. Yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth.
Good.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis, who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands or millions of years.
He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore.
I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas, by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities, in the company of her confidentes, Sakis, confidants, Sakis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Syam Sundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable and innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion, tinged with the salve of love.
Very good.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Nrisimha, Vamana, etc. as his subjective portions.
Glorification of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janma dasya yato niviyadi taratascha tesu vigyaswara. Tene Brahma Hidaya Dikavaye Muyantiya Surayaha. Tejo Varivanam Yata Vinimayo Yacha Chisargomisha. Tanasvena Sada Nirastakulakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. Somebody can read.
Okay. O my Lord Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth.
Very good. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2. We can recite together. Dharma projita kaitravocha paramo nimatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam atravastu sividam tapotrayan munam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Krimpapare Ishwaraha Sadhyo Vidya Varudyate Cha Priti Susustakshanat. Somebody?
Completely rejecting all religious activities which are material and motivated, this Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. The beautiful Bhagavatam, this beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the supreme Lord is established within his heart.
Very good. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.3. Nigama kalpacharo kalatam lam sukapukad amrita chavisamitam pibata bhagavatam rasam layam muhur aho raskapu vibhavakaha.
O expert and thoughtful man, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 7, verse number 1. In the purport. Shinvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hirdiyantak Stovi Bhadrani Vidunati Srisatam Mastam Praisu Vajlisu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhakti Nastiti Tadarajastamo Bhaho Kamalobodayasche Chetetarina Vidam Stitvam Sattve Prasidati Evam Prasana Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana Mukta Sangha Sujayate Vidyate Dayagrantis Chityante Sarvasamsaya Shiyate Chashikarmani Justa Evat Manishware. Who will read? Okay. Go ahead.
To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him.
In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord.
By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lusts and the avarice are diminished.
And
Avarice are diminished.
When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the signs of God perfectly.
Thus, Bhakti Yoga serves the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of asamsayam, samagram, understanding of the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotees is in Krishna consciousness one can understand the science of Krishna.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 14, verse number 33. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Yujistu Vridita Tena Karma Vadyena Bharata Upasangamya Viprasim Adho Mukh Yabhyabhasata Diti. Diti, the wife of Kashyapa. Two. But Virdita, ashamed. Tena, by that. Karma, act. Avadyena, faulty. Bharata, O son of Bharata. O son of Bharata family. Upasangamya, going nearer to. Viprarisim, the Brahmana sage. Adha Mukhi, with her face lowered. Abhya Bahasata, politely said. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O son of the Bharata family, Diti, after this, went nearer to her husband, her face lowered because of her faulty action. She spoke as follows. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. When one is ashamed of an abominable action, one naturally becomes down-faced. Diti came to her senses after the abominable sexual intercourse with her husband. Such sexual intercourse is condemned as prostitution. In other words, sex life with one's wife is equal to prostitution if the regulations are not properly followed. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So here we see the problem of spiritual life. As long as one does not have what's called a higher taste, they have difficulty controlling themselves, even though they know what is right and wrong. And this is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 59th verse, where it says, Vishaya vinivartante nirharasya dehina rasa varjam rasapi asya param jistva nivartate. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Now, the question is, do we actually get, or are we actually tasting that higher taste? That's the question. Okay, someone can read the purport.
It's 259.
Yeah.
Purport. Unless one is transcendently situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for eatables. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Ashtanga Yoga in the matter of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharma, dharana, dhyana, etc. is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things.
Very good. Okay, so simply following rules and regulations is good. But unless we get that higher taste, we are prone still to fall down, no matter how much we are engaged in spiritual activities. Because there's something still going on in the mind, an attraction to sense gratification. Therefore, it says, unless one is situated transcendentally, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. And what does it mean, transcendentally situated? That means all our activities should be dovetailed into Krishna consciousness. Then we're transcendently situated. How do you dovetail everything in Krishna consciousness? You need a guru and the advice of gurus, Shiksha and Diksha gurus, because we've spent so many lifetimes attracted to Maya. It's not going to be easy to get this higher taste and actually relish it. It requires constant vigilance. We have to be vigilant and not, let's say, be not be inattentive to every little detail of Krishna consciousness. The more we pay attention to the details of Krishna consciousness and follow them, the better chance we have of getting that higher taste. So what do you mean by higher taste? Well, the transcendental nature of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Even our initiated devotees sometimes don't realize the power of the holy name. It can deliver anyone, even the lowest person, from the cycle of birth and death. It can give one this higher taste of being always connected to Krishna through devotional service in all our activities. That's called expert Krishna consciousness. Dovetailing all our activities in Krishna consciousness. It's not that, well, I've been doing all these Krishna conscious things for the last 4 or 5 months, but now I'm going to take a vacation and go to Disneyland. Well, how can you dovetail Disneyland into Krishna consciousness? It's going to be pretty difficult. and that's not the purpose of going there. Right? The purpose is to take a break. But taking a break from Krishna consciousness is not Krishna consciousness. So we have to be very careful what we do. So therefore, there are what we call sense restrictions by some spiritual process, like Ashtanga yoga. So there's karma yoga, there is jnana yoga, and there's Ashtanga yoga, and there's pure bhakti. So Ashtanga yoga is following pretty strict rules and regulations like yama, things you should never do, niyama, things you should always do, and asana, sitting positions, and pranayama, breathing control, and pratyahara, Pratyahara means driving out sense objects as sound, touch, form, taste, smell. In other words, not being affected by them. That's pretty hard. And then dharana is trying to fix the mind on one thing, which is devotion to the Lord, and dhyana, that's fully meditating on the Lord, and then finally samadhi, where you're completely engrossed in serving the Lord and thinking about the Lord. So these are 8 steps of what you would call Ashtanga Yoga. But these 8 steps are recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. Wow. Because already it sounds pretty advanced. Right? So Prabhupada says, but one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness, no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. This is very profound points being made by Prabhupada and the Vaishnava Acharyas. Ultimately, the most enchanting, the most impelling, the most overwhelming point is seeing the beauty of Krishna. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, he was hell-bent to meet Lord Vishnu so that he could become more powerful than his father. But when he actually saw the Lord, he completely forgot about his purpose of being more powerful than his father, and he was overwhelmed by the Lord. He was stunned. He couldn't speak. He was just completely stunned by the beauty of the Lord. So that's what we're aiming at when we say higher taste. You see, so people, for them, higher taste is like, you go to some girly show where there's naked women walking around, or almost naked women walking around. There's liquor, there's dancing, there's talking, there's doing nonsense. They consider that higher taste. But that's the higher level of nonsense, the highest level of nonsense. So what Diti did was a very high level of nonsense. She couldn't control her lust. And because misery likes company, she convinced her husband also to break his austerities and rules and regulations. And now we have Kashyapa Muni, who's he's not a pure devotee like Prahlad Maharaj, but at least he's advanced devotee. But he fell down. It's not, if you have never gotten that higher taste, you are always susceptible of falling down. It's just like if you were cheated by someone, and then somebody else is trying to cheat you, Well, you recognize that this is nonsense. Therefore, you might have been cheated once or twice or 3 times, but eventually you learn your lesson and you're not going to be cheated anymore. So in the same way, we might fall down once or twice or 3 times in Krishna consciousness, but if we take refuge under the tutelage or instruction of good devotees, we can eventually develop the strength to not fall down again. So association with advanced devotees is number 1, let's say, requisite if you want to go back to Godhead. If you're always associating with good devotees who follow the rules and regulations, you will also follow the rules and regulations. And you learn to be very serious about practicing Krishna consciousness. Okay, so Paramdrishtra Nivartate, getting this higher taste. Also, previously we read that there are, let's see where that is, 26. There are what's called 3 gates to hell. And what are they? Well, they are Trividam Narakasya Yedam Dwaram Nasanam Atmana Kama Krodas Tata Lobas Tasmat Etat Trayam Shajet. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, verse 21. There are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man or woman should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, the beginning of demoniac life is described herein. One tries to satisfy his lust, and when he cannot, anger and greed arise. A sane man or woman who does not want to glide down to the species of demoniac life must try to give up these 3 enemies, which can kill the self to such an extent that there will be no possibility of liberation from this material entanglement. So here we know now what the real enemy is: lust, anger, and greed. So if you're lusty, you can't control your mind and senses. If you're angry, you become delusional. And greed, you become very greedy. And you refuse to use your assets in the service of the Lord. Let's say you have $100,000. And the devotee comes up to you and says, "Oh, Prabhu, we have this special project, and can you give a donation?" So the devotee said, "Yeah, I'll give you a donation. Here's $200. But they have $100,000. Right? So, okay, it's not that they gave nothing. Yeah, they gave something. But they could give a lot more if they were more Krishna conscious. You see. Now, why would the person not give more? Because they have much more to give if they want to. Greed. They're greedy. They're not completely greedy, but they still have this desire to hold on to this yellow stool. gold is yellow stool. The way Kali Yuga evolved was when Kali was given the opportunity to reside in those places where people hoard gold. So this greed is something that's very difficult to get rid of. The less one has faith in God or Krishna, the more they're going to be greedy and lusty and angry. So, the beginning of demoniac life is described herein. One tries to satisfy his lust, and when he cannot, anger and greed arise. A sane man who does not want to glide down to the species of demoniac life must try to give up these three enemies, which can kill the self to such an extent that there will be no possibility of liberation from this material entanglement. Then the next verse says, the man who has escaped these three gates of hell, O son of Kunti, performs acts conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attains the supreme destination. So when it says the man, it includes women also. Now this is a very nice and very profound purport. Who wants to read? 16th chapter.
Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. One should be very careful of the three enemies to human life: lust, anger, and greed. The more a person is freed from lust, anger, and greed, the more his existence becomes pure. Then he can follow the rules and regulations and join in the Vedic literature. By following the regulative principles of human life, one gradually raises himself to the platform of spiritual realization. If one is so fortunate by such practice to rise to the platform of Krishna consciousness, then success is guaranteed for him. In the Vedic literature, the ways of action and reaction are prescribed to enable one to come to the stage of purification. The whole method is based on giving up lust, greed, and anger. By cultivating knowledge of this process, one can be elevated to the highest position of self-realization. This self-realization is perfected in devotional service. In that devotional service, the liberation of the conditioned soul is guaranteed. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, there are instituted the 4 orders of life and the 4 statuses of life, called the caste system and the spiritual order system. There are different rules and regulations for different castes or divisions of society, and if a person is able to follow them, he will be automatically raised to the highest platform of spiritual realization. Then he can have liberation without a doubt.
The whole method is based on giving up lust, greed, and anger. Now, how are we going to do that? Lust, greed, and anger. So many people have a problem with this anger. And they have what's called a very short let's see, huh? Yeah. For any little point, they can get angry and start becoming very nasty. If you want to be a hated person, a person that people don't like. And you then develop this short fuse. It's called a short fuse, right? Where you easily get angry, even for the most insignificant thing. People don't want to associate with a person who is very quickly getting angry for more or less insignificant things. This very short fuse. Right. Such people are obnoxious. No one likes to associate with a person who easily gets angry for, let's say, a insignificant reason. Why? Because they have very strong material desires and they're not able to satisfy them. Therefore, they become frustrated. Then they become angry. And as soon as you become angry, then it corrupts everything. What's that noise? What are you doing? What is that noise? Huh? Your phone. So, if we can't control this lust, anger, and greed, we'll never be able to go back to Godhead nor become Krishna conscious. We can try, but we'll always be, let's say, we'll fall short of getting that higher taste, that transcendental taste of the beauty of Krishna. These are what you would call obstacles, major obstacles in the process of Krishna consciousness: lust, anger, and greed. Okay, so then it says, Yashastra vidim utsrija vartate kama karata. Na sasidim avapnuti na sukham na param gatim. The person who disregards or discards spiritual injunction, this is verse 23 now, from the 16th chapter. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims, well, this is an example of deity, attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. This is a very fundamental verse with the purport. So who wants to read the purport?
Purport by His Grace, Srila Prabhupada. As described before, the Sastra Vidhi, or the direction of Sastra, is given to the different castes and orders of human society. Everyone is expected to follow these rules and regulations. If one does not follow them and acts whimsically according to his lust, greed, and desire, then he never will be perfect in his life.
There it is, right there. This is what Diti did, right? She acted whimsically. Instead of asking her husband what's the right thing to do, she convinced him to do the wrong thing. And he went along with it. That's why misery likes company. It's in the same way in the Bible, Adam and Eve. Eve convinces Adam to also break the only rule that God gave them. They were living in paradise. They had everything they needed, and there was only one rule: don't take the fruits of the tree of knowledge and what you would call degradation. So there were millions of trees, fruit trees. They had everything they needed. They didn't have to work hard. They were in the Garden of Eden. But Satan put a doubt in Eve's mind. He said, why do you think your God has forbidden you to eat the fruits of this one tree? There's hundreds and thousands of trees in the Garden of Eden. Just that one tree. And she said, well, I don't know. He said, because it's a pleasure that's greater than all other pleasures. And he doesn't want you to have it. You see? This is what the demons do. They put a doubt in your mind. Right? As soon as that doubt comes into the mind, then you've been primed to make a major mistake in your life. Just like recently, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was saying how there was this high-powered businessman, and he convinced this other Indian gentleman to quit the company they were working in and join his company. So he was so persuasive that this gentleman did that. Then a couple months down the line, the company that that gentleman was working for was purchased by another company, and everybody who was in that company at that time made a lot of money. And this man, who was convinced by the other high-powered businessman, lost everything. Well, when we say lost everything he had been working so hard for, because he followed the advice of the high-powered businessman. So you see, it's very easy to be convinced to do the wrong thing. All you have to do is put a doubt in a person's mind, then you can convince them to do the wrong thing. So, that's why it's so important to come to class every day. Because it's very easy to meet someone who's very clever. And there's always someone more clever than us. And they can give you arguments this way, that way, and convince you to do things that are wrong, but they make things seem as if they're right. So this is what happened. Niti, she couldn't control her senses and her mind. She wanted to do something that was actually very sinful. And she was able to convince her husband, who was a very powerful yogi. So is there a difference between a powerful yogi and a pure devotee? Yes. A pure devotee is never misled by anyone. They have such faith and such determination to follow the rules and regulations, especially if they're initiated. So they're able to control this lust, anger, and greed. Why? Because of the higher taste that they've experienced in chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and engaging in Sankirtan and hearing classes on a regular basis. Therefore, they are immunized on a daily basis. We should be immunized every day so that we are not misled by all the clever people out there in this world. And they're very clever people. There was this one man, he was a very rich man in Chopati, in India. And he was a very nice man. And generous also. But being a businessman, he had learned the art of being a winner. Well, being a winner in his language would be how to manipulate other people by recognizing their weaknesses and then taking advantage of those weaknesses. Everybody has some weakness. Right? They might be greedy, they might be lusty, they might be stupid. Everybody has some weakness. Right? So when he met Prabhupada, and he met him many times, instead of focusing on surrendering to Prabhupada and becoming a pure devotee, he was always looking at if there was some weakness Prabhupada had, so he could take advantage, control him. This is what the businessmen do, right? One is more clever than the other. They're all clever, but one is more clever than the other, and they're able to manipulate. So then one day he gave this is after Prabhupada left his body, he was speaking to devotees, and he said, instead of recognizing Prabhupada's purity, I was always, because of my training as a businessman, I was always looking to see what his weakness was. But I could never find one. He wasn't greedy, he wasn't lusty. He didn't seem to be in any way diverted from serving Krishna. He said, and that was the biggest mistake I've made in my life. Instead of trying to control Prabhupada, I should have surrendered to him and become initiated by him and serving him without this, let's say, attempt to find his weakness and control him. So, okay, so you were reading?
In other words, a man may theoretically know all these things, but if he does not apply them in his own life, then he is to be known as the lowest of mankind.
Whoa, lowest of mankind.
In the human form of life, a living entity is expected to be sane and to follow the regulations given for elevating his life to the highest platform. But if he does not follow them, then he degrades himself. But even if he follows the rules and regulations and moral principles, and ultimately does not come to the stage of understanding the Supreme Lord, then all his knowledge becomes spoiled. And even if he accepts the existence of God, if he does not engage himself in the service of the Lord, his attempts are spoiled. Therefore, one should gradually raise himself to the platform of Krishna consciousness and devotional service. It is then and there that he can attain the highest perfectional stage, not otherwise.
Okay. So, there's many a slip between the cup and the lip. So, you see, just being Krishna conscious, but not being fully convinced of surrendering one's complete life to Krishna is what you would call not achieving the purpose intended. The purpose intended is to go back to Godhead. And to live back to Godhead now. It's not that, well, I'll be a pure devotee when I go back to Godhead. No. You have to be a pure devotee now. Then you can go back to Godhead. So, we have to pay a lot of attention to Prabhupada's, to these Bhagavad Gita verses and Prabhupada's instructions. And Rupa Goswami says that success is guaranteed to the strict practitioner. Success is guaranteed to the strict practitioner. You shouldn't have any, let's say, shortcoming in the execution of devotional service. We should always do it at a very high level. And to be able to do that on a regular basis, we should hear these classes. We should think about them every day. Every day we're reading different verses and purports of Bhagavad Gita. They are very, very profound. Once we realize that, then we become attentive in class. There's a difference between being, let's say, not attentive. It's like what he's doing there, that's not attentive. Trying to fix your fingers like this or like that. That's being non-attentive. You have to be attentive. Use all your faculties of attention to try and understand what's being said and to assimilate it and then to practice it seriously. Right? Okay, so we'll stop right there. Are there any questions?
The purport was not
Oh,
finished.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The word kama karataha is very significant. A person who knowingly violates the rules acts in lust. He knows that this is forbidden, but still he acts. This is called acting whimsically. He knows that this should be done, but still he does not do it. Therefore, he is called whimsical. Such persons are destined to be condemned by the Supreme Lord. Such persons cannot have the perfection.
Are destined to be condemned.
Yeah, destined to be condemned by the Supreme Lord. Such persons cannot have the perfection which is meant for the human life. The human life is especially meant for purifying one's existence. And one who does not follow the rules and regulation cannot purify himself, nor can he attain the real stage of happiness.
There you are. We have a choice. Be happy or be miserable. So we have to decide which one we want. Most people, because they can't control their mind and senses, they end up always miserable. But the devotee who can control his mind and senses and engage, how is that? By always engaging them in devotional service and controlling the three doors or the three, lust, anger, and greed, then you can make spiritual progress and you're able to convince other people to be Krishna conscious, and you never act whimsically. You can look that word up, whimsically or whimsical. Okay, we'll stop right there. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions?
I think we have to get to that firm nishta stage, basically. Like once you are in the Krishna conscious, there is no more. You have to cross the chasm, or they call it. You have to cross the mountain on the other side, and then no coming back. Because that should be the higher taste that one should always have.
Just like Dhruva Maharaj, when he actually saw Krishna, he forgot all his mundane desires and was completely satisfied by the beauty of the Lord. That's why we have every day addressing the Lord. We have to actually take darshan and be attracted by that beauty that we're seeing. Okay, now I see something that's not beautiful. Look at that rug there. Does that look beautiful? No. So we're going to have to get some type of glue to hold down those two pieces of parts of that rug. Yeah.
I think yesterday they did the carpet cleaning.
Who did?
Some person they hired, I think.
Professional cleaning with the
Professional cleaning.
machines and all. They did it.
So I think as part of that maybe we put
You
tape.
can put tape underneath. You can just put a tape.
Two in.
Yeah, let's try and figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, Hare Krishna. All glories to